Elvis Presley, you may have heard that name. He passed away almost 50 years ago, but we still feel very closely his impact to this day. Now, I'm going to run down a few things for you just off the top of my head. First of all, there was the 2022, I believe, film Elvis. You may have heard of that one with Austin Butler, maybe heard of him, and Tom Hanks. You had Elvis Presley, The Searcher, which was an HBO documentary. You had some cartoons that came out, unbelievably. Now there's Epic, Elvis Presley in concert, just recently released and getting rave reviews. But when you start to think about that, almost 50 years after his passing, you've got to respect this, that one of the ways his music is kept alive is by tribute artists. That's what we call them now. They're tribute artists, men who perform live, honoring his legacy. Now, if you haven't experienced that world, you need to, but I'm going to give you an opportunity when we get into this interview. So today, what we're going to do is explore that very rich and sequined world. All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me this week on the Current Temp. Of course, as you well know, brought to us by Lexus of Memphis, a fantastic group of men and women, an unbelievable product. Go by there, tell them Joey sent you. A lot of you already have, and we appreciate that. All right. Joining me today is a gentleman that I've known for many years. This guy, Mr. Tom Brown. Tom has worked as a former VP of original production for Turner Classic Movies, but more familiar here locally, he has hosted Elvis events at Graceland and really from coast to coast. He hosts the web series, The Gates of Graceland, always on the move, but we're glad that you slowed down enough to join us today. Tom, thank you for being here.
Thank you. I was in the neighborhood. I thought I'd come in.
Well, getting you into Memphis is a thrill for me because I know how busy you are, and we're going to get to this, all right? This is called the Nashville Elvis Festival, coming up in just a few weeks, March 19th through the 22nd at the Factory in Franklin, Tennessee, just outside of Nashville. You and our friend Brian Mays have been doing this now for how many years?
This is our 10th anniversary.
Okay. All right.
Very big.
That's right. We're going to talk about that. So before I jump into NEF, Nashville Elvis Festival, let's you and I talk about the very vibrant world of what we know as Elvis Tribute Artists. They're no longer impersonators.
No.
That's been long ago. There's a reason for that. There's a lot of respect and professionalism that these men pour into recreating that experience. Speak about your thoughts on that.
Well, I had started hosting events for Graceland in 2001, like interviews and things in 2001. And in 2007, they launched the Elvis Tribute Artist Ultimate Contest and qualifiers around the world, really. And what had happened was over the few years before 2007, there were offshoot things going on in the Elvis world of impersonators, and there was no quality control. You know, it was, I always compare it to a tribute artist is a guy who studies Elvis like an actor studies a part, and an impersonator is the drunk guy at the Christmas party.
That's good.
Singing karaoke.
That's good.
That's, so there was a very, trite kind of Elvis thing that people did with no quality control. And Graceland said, well, we can't eliminate this world, so let's give it the quality control. And so in 2007, they had the very first contest at the Cannon Center, and they asked me to be a judge. And so for the first 3 years, I was a judge at the Ultimate there at the Cannon Center. And after the third year, when you're a judge, you can't associate with these guys. You can't. And I didn't know any of them, obviously, in the first couple of years, because they didn't exist within the official EPE, Elvis Presley Enterprises world. Third year, I said, I don't want to be a judge anymore because I want to hang out with these guys because they're like I am. They're just much younger. And I would have been doing this if you'd been around in 78, 79. Right. And so I just started getting to know them. And, I mean, guys from all over the world who some can't there's a Toki from Japan can't speak English, and he gets on stage and he knows all of Elvis's patter between songs. He's learned it phonetically. And it's just the kind of thing that, what an influence this guy from my hometown, Elvis Presley, has had on the world. And what's so amazing is I get to host a lot of festivals and introduce the guys. I get to be Charlie Hodge a lot up there. giving guitars out, putting guitars on and handing out scarves over the necks of the guys, which is very difficult to do. Don't let them fool you. It's very difficult. Yeah. And I see the faces of the people in the audience, and the women, no matter their age, who may have seen Elvis, they are 16 years old when they're up there looking at these guys. And so I just call it's like a bit of theater. You go into this, and I don't know if you're this way, and I may be admitting something I shouldn't, but when you go to Disney World or Disneyland, you mentally become like, I'm so happy to be, I want to be a kid. I don't want to worry about anything. And you got the kids or whatever, and you're just a kid with them. Well, when you go to an Elvis Tribute Artist show, it's a bit of theater. You're taking yourself to a place, maybe you got to see him, maybe you didn't get to see him. But for that next hour, you're going to sit back and you're just going to let it wash over you, and it's a moment. There's going to be a moment that happens. You're going to be like, oh, wow, that was it right there. That was, I call it's no different than, I know who Tom Cruise is, but I go to see Mission Impossible movies to see Ethan do really cool things on screen. Now, I know that's Tom, and I know it's a movie, and I know he's got a rope around him that they CGI'd out, but I'm buying into this. I'm with the story. And that's what happens when a lot of people see the tribute artist. And there's usually somebody in the group of people that come to see the tribute artist that didn't want to be there. They're the driver or whatever. They're there. They're like, they're like, all right, let's go. As soon as this gets over, we're going to go get Chick-fil-A. And 9 times out of 10, halfway through the show, they get baptized and they understand what it is.
Yeah, so, okay, full disclosure. A lot of my viewers and longtime friends out there know I've had a long history with that contest as well. That's where Tom and I actually met. Every time I talk about it, I feel like this is going to sound ridiculous, but you feel like a parent type watching a kid run and grow and become something bigger. When I look at that contest, as you said, starting off in very humble beginnings and now is the bellwether. And I think you just did a phenomenal job of putting that into perspective. What I will add is that so many of us weren't able to see Elvis live, either too young, weren't born, or didn't have the money or couldn't make the trip. Not everybody gets to go to a concert. But what I have decided over the years of seeing these men perform, what they do is they give you a sliver of a shiver. That's what you get. You get a sliver of a shiver.
That's good.
And I think it ties into what you just said about all of a sudden you're a kid again, because there's a built-in exuberance when you're in those shows. The problem I see, and this is one of the things I know both of us work towards, I don't like the caricatures and the memes and how easy it is to dumb something down when this is such a remarkably vibrant and talented world of men who, as you know, sometimes perform as all types of different people. Because they're so good at what they do. But this experience is compelling, and it brings people together in a kind of community. Talk about that, because we've seen that community over the years.
Oh my gosh. Well, the simple fact that the performers come from all over the world. The contestants that are, vying in these contests, because these regional contests happen across the U.S. and around the world, and the winner of that contest comes to Memphis to represent that festival at the ultimate to be crowned by Graceland. But that is truly, and you hear about the brotherhood, that is truly something that I find amazing, that the performers, it's like it's kind of like you thought you were the only one in school that was a fan, and you suddenly realized. I've seen conversations happen with ETAs where one will say, when did you first start? Or I'll interview them, and they say, well, I was 3 years old and I got on the coffee table. And this guy goes, I was 3 years old on the coffee table. I saw Aloha from Hawaii, and I started singing into a hairbrush holding a tennis racket. All these
and
guys,
they're on different continents.
Yeah, and they're on completely different continents. And if at your school, they were the Elvis guy, and it's just fascinating to see that, and the fans who followed him. And you're exactly right. There were people that were around that didn't get a chance to see Elvis, and I fortunately did. I saw him in March 20, 1974 at the Mid-South Coliseum. And the album was recorded as Elvis recorded live on stage at the Mid-South Coliseum. The cover of the album is Graceland.
I've heard you scream on that.
Yes, that's right. I'm up there. It was a Wednesday. It was a Wednesday night. And Janelle McComb, who was a friend of Elvis's that lived in Tupelo and was really responsible for getting the birthplace opened as a tourist attraction, she and my mom were friends, and she would be over there smoking cigarettes all the time, you know, because it was the 70s. And I would come in on Saturday afternoon, and Ms. McComb would be there, and I'd say, "Hello, Ms. McComb, how's Elvis doing?" And he's doing good, doing good. And I said, "Well, tell him Tommy said hello." And okay, I will. And one time I came in, and she had an envelope, and it was a picture of Elvis that he had him sign to me.
Oh, nice.
And then she came, and this was in '74. She told my mom, "I've got you and Tommy." I was Tommy, tickets to see Elvis in Memphis. He's doing 4 or 5 shows over the course of so many days, and I got you tickets for Wednesday night. And I can so remember my mother saying, "But couldn't we do Saturday afternoon or Saturday night?" And I'm thinking, stop negotiating.
Right.
But Ms. McComb said, "No, there's a very special reason that you need to be there Wednesday night." So I got out of school early on Wednesday, and we stayed at the Holiday Inn, the original Holiday Inn over there by the corporate office, and went to the mid. And I didn't. They were recording that night. They were recording the album. She wanted me to be there for the album recording.
Cool. All right, let's jump into this. I think one of the things that has made this phenomenon a phenomenon is the fact that you've got this charismatic, talented singer who literally made an impact and stamped an imprint on 3 different decades. 50s, 60s, 70s. So as people are remembering and looking back, not only is he talented, but you can really dial into a specificity, an era, if you prefer, and the artists do that as well. The ETAs do that as well. Tell me what you think kind of impact being able to pick and choose. Like when we've been involved in contests, the performers have to decide, okay, which era am I going to represent? So not only are you going, like if I go to a Johnny Cash show, if there's a Johnny Cash recreation, you're pretty much going to get one Johnny Cash, maybe 2, depending on the age.
Long black coat, short black coat.
Super talented, but pretty set. With Elvis, you've got almost like a Rubik's Cube of angles you can take here. You know, what do you think about the impact of that? The fact that you've got 3 definitive images. So we got 50s, 60s, 70s.
Yeah.
You know, if you've got 3 different eras. How do you think that impacts?
No one's looking at us right now. They're all just looking at him.
I get a lot of that anyway, even in my own home. How would you explain that impact on the fan base we have now?
It's interesting. Some guys have a physical resemblance naturally. Some guys, for a long time, my buddy Jeff Lewis thought that they all had great hair and didn't realize that some of them wear wigs, to get that look. Right. Just like actors, wear wigs and stuff. It's interesting to see a lot of the guys who they want to get in the jumpsuit because that's the Elvis, but maybe they're 21, 22. Maybe they shouldn't be in the jumpsuit because you're 21, 22. It's interesting to see the ones that really can dial in and understand physically who they are and physically who Elvis was. And each era just has such a rich, iconic look and sound. There are guys who do 50s. There are early 60s movie guys. There's the 68 leather into the 69 Las Vegas, and then there's the jumpsuit of the 70s Elvis. So it's interesting in seeing how they make that decision. Some can do a little bit here and a little bit there and a little bit, and very few can bridge. Very few can bridge through.
Yeah,
just a few, because he moved differently. The 50s are very much more innocent, and the voice was higher, and the songs it was just more guttural and bare because there's just a few instruments on stage, and that's the other thing too. Not only the guys, but the bands who they use.
Yeah.
There's 3 or 4 tribute bands that the players in that band study the musicians like the guys study Elvis.
Right.
So there's the Scotty Moore licks on "That's All Right Mama" from the 50s versus the James Burton licks from 69 into the 70s on "That's All Right Mama." And everybody, it's just fascinating to see the study that goes into this.
I was always amazed at how the band, to your point, they don't get enough credit, the ones that back these performers, because they're literally following the performers on cue.
Yeah.
Now, let me jump to this. I want to take a moment to, what's the word I should use to say this? I want to be positive in an area that was negative. And here's what I mean. And one of the reasons I was so glad Graceland got involved with this contest. Mm-hmm. People that don't understand this world, there can be a lot of negative connotations about a tribute artist. And in the early years, there were even some within the organization who were like, is this tarnishing Elvis's legacy? Are we doing him a disservice by having performers? And I remember very early on making this case that this is what it needs. You need an organic growth system of Elvis Ivy to continue growing, to bring the experience to people. And I look back on it now. We've been doing this as a group. You've been doing it. Grayson's been doing it, 20 plus years. Yeah. At how we're still seeing Elvis Presley in concert movies and Baz Luhrmann and, notables around the world. I see that play out in real time. And so I have, behind the scenes, much like you, made it a mission to be a proselytizer. Mm-hmm. Hey, let's bring up the value of this. Like you said, when Graceland got involved, all of a sudden, vocals and talent were a big deal. Mm-hmm. You've got to know what you're doing. Talk about overcoming the enigma of what it used to be versus what it is.
Well, I had somebody about 2 weeks ago mention to me, they go, how long is this Elvis thing? It can't, come on. It's just, And I said, you really picked a bad week to say that, because there's a movie that just opened called Epic at IMAX theaters, and that was when it was at IMAX. And I said, it's got a 99% positive audience score and a 96 positive critic score, and it answers your question for you. Go see that and then come back and ask me that question. I was telling somebody I'm so proud of Elvis because this movie, it kind of answers all of that. I just go watch Epic and just come back and tell me if you don't get it. And like you said about the guys, the ETAs, I call them ambassadors. They each have their branch. There's a guy that lives in Tupelo that takes care of the Tupelo area. Where are you from? You're from Waco, Texas. Great. Then you've got the Southeast Texas. You're that guy. Each of you have your embassies, and you're helping with getting Elvis out to retirement homes, to young people. They're seeing you, and they're getting interested in who is this guy, and they go and do the study. And Jerry Schilling has a saying he used to do, and I've taken it and credit him always, which is, get the young people to see Elvis, and he'll take care of the rest, because he's been doing it since '54. And it's weird. It's like you would think it would dilute before you understand it. And I can see Graceland thinking that. You could think it would dilute, but it's really putting a live experience out to turn the spotlight on Elvis. How many kids have been in cars leaving tribute shows looking up Elvis and try to see, like, who is this guy? What is this? It's been fun for me the last few years to see so many young people on TikTok and starting podcasts that are getting to experience this basket of Elvis from beginning to end and the last 50 years for the first time. When I worked at Turner Classic Movies, our longtime host, Robert Osborne, was a film writer and author, and hosted the movie intros that introed the movies for TCM. And he would say, how I envy people who have never seen Citizen Kane, because, man, you've just got the greatest movie to experience for the first time, or Dr. Zhivago, or Casablanca. You just don't even understand what this is going to do. Like, to be able to go back and have that first time once again. And that's been the thing I've loved the most about seeing the young people with the podcasts, especially. And young people coming to the faces of the ladies that were a little older down there to get scarves, the faces are getting a lot younger.
I've seen that
down there now too.
You know, what astounds me is we put it all in perspective, and then we're about to do a fantastic leap for you guys if you're enjoying this interview. I try to back up and look at myself from 30,000 feet and go, are you just being a cuckoo person for Elvis? But then you step back and you look at it objectively. You know, good music is timeless. Good music, not all music. Good music is timeless. Classical music, we're still listening to Beethoven. Mm-hmm. You know, good music is timeless. And if you measure him and let's just say his vocal ability against what is on the air today and that goes for pop music, mm-hmm. you're talking apples and oranges. You know, we are able to hear people all the time now without their digitizers and their quality control, and you're like, how did they score a record deal? How would they, Yeah. Meanwhile, we've got an artist who had 3 decades of different music that he left behind that was so good at what he did. And I'll close with this. That music gives you a feeling, to your point earlier, and that's what people remember. You remember a feeling. You remember the feeling of giddiness from seeing him live, or mm-hmm. the music that played when you met your wife, or the song that was playing when you had that dance in high school. You remember those feelings, and I think that's one of the things that he did so well and left as a legacy. But to tie it all together, what these performers and tribute artists do as well.
Yeah, it's a shared feeling because so few of us get together.
Right.
Anymore in a room. It's one thing to watch a comedy movie at home, but to be in a theater, to see live theater, and to hear laughter. That's why there's laugh tracks on TV shows, because we need to feel safety to laugh out loud. My wife says I'm the only person she knows that actually just giddily laughs alone, and she hears me downstairs laughing. And she says, I just go, that's funny, but it's because I've grown up, loving that. But to go to a concert like this, and the hardened cynic, when they hear 2001, get the same feeling that they got when they saw Elvis, which was, wow, this is kind of heavy right here.
I love this point that you're making, because we are completely losing the ability to be collective.
Yeah.
I've said this many times when I'm speaking to groups, for it to be a nation or a planet with so many connected devices that keep us connected, we've never been more isolated. Mm-hmm. And we don't experience things together. And this is an opportunity, if you're near one of these shows or if you're near a performance, to do things together. I think that's a great point I hadn't thought about before.
I heard something recently that I've remembered, and it's, remember before we had internet, access, phones, all that stuff, computers, we somehow managed to figure out facts, go down to the library. I knew how to use the Dewey Decimal System on the little cards.
Or go to your World Book Encyclopedia.
Encyclopedia Britannica at the end of the hallway, and the book of the year every year that came in, I would read it cover to cover. I still have a lot of that stuff. But you wanted to know about dogs, and I would get to D's, and I would get D's, and I would read, dandelions. Oh, that's good. And I would just read encyclopedias, kind of like novels. And I remember the anatomy thing where they had that clear page.
Oh, yeah. Peel it back.
And I'm like, man, I'm not going to be a doctor. I am not going to be a doctor. And then the internet came in, and we had that at our fingertips. Like encyclopedia salesmen, they don't really do that well anymore, because I can, and I've got it right there. But then came people that had access. Wikipedia, people look at it as the gospel. I can change anything on Wikipedia until somebody catches it. And I'm finding with ChatGPT, not exactly accurate.
No,
I believe it is. I asked it the other day, give me every song title that Elvis recorded that contains the word love, loving, loved, any variation of the word love. And it came up with 27 titles like that. And I started looking through them, and I went, well, wait, what about Love Me? It's like Love Me isn't even on here. Oh, good catch. And I love my ChatGPT. Good catch, Tom.
Great job, Tom.
Great job, Tom. Great job for calling me out on that, Tom. Well, come to find out, it told me there were 27 or 24, 27. There's 64.
A little off.
A little off, and I had to know what wasn't on there to even catch it at that.
You don't know what you don't know.
But somebody else would have said and thought that it's 27.
Right.
Because look right here. And now we've got AI with photos. They can put Elvis sitting right here next to me, and it will look completely real. So now, remember the era before that, and we had to go to the library and get facts and go to books and stuff? I think it's going to go back there one day. That if it came from this, I don't trust it. I'm going to go find the book of something that's got verified factual information in it, because now this isn't trustworthy anymore. And that's my doom and gloom story for the day. Right?
I'm going to take that. I'm going to use it to leapfrog. I have been saying for quite some time, the new equity is going to be truth. Mm-hmm. The new equity of value, the thing that we all strive for and that is coveted, is, can I believe it and is it true? Mm-hmm. And I think you're right on the money. I want to come back to your point that I completely agree with, which is we're losing that collective experience.
Yeah.
We're losing that ability to go to movies or go to shows, which is a fantastic segue to the National Elvis Festival.
Look at that.
The Nashville Elvis Festival is coming up, and if you want a collective experience, if you want to be with people that are happy and feel like your family and want to enjoy something, if you're anywhere in the Mid-South, this is not a far cry away, so let's talk about it. 10th anniversary.
That's right. We started in 2017. I was living in Nashville at the time, and I was during one of those judging years. I was there through 7, 8, 9. A fellow judge one year was a publicist from Nashville named Brian Mays.
The lovely Brian Mays.
And we became friends, and then I ended up moving to Nashville for a while with my wife, and Brian and I and his wife Jess, we would go out and do things, and one night we're at dinner, and Brian says, "Why isn't there a Nashville Elvis Festival?" And I'm not a dreamer. I was like, I don't know. I'm a broadcaster. Give me a mic. I don't know how this works, but just tell me how long to talk and make sure it's on, and I'm fine.
You talk good.
Thank you. Well, ask my teachers. I've been doing it since 4th grade. He said, we should do that. I said, okay, how do we do it? And somehow 17, we started at the Franklin Theater downtown, 290-something seats, and we outgrew that. We moved to the Factory, which is an amazing facility. It's an old oven factory that they've rehabbed, and it has bars and restaurants and stores and really cool theater spaces. And this is our 10th year. And we have, I think I counted 11 shows coming up. Starting on the 19th. We have some really cool judges who are going to be there, because part of our festival is the competition to have a representative from Nashville go.
Let's make sure and underscore that. The winner of this will be coming to Memphis for the Ultimate Elvis Tribute Artist Contest.
That's right. And I don't want to brag, but a few years ago, our winner, Emilio Santoro from England, won the Ultimate Championship.
Did I see he'll be there this coming?
He is coming back.
Okay.
Yes.
So coming up, this in just a few weeks, March 19th to the 22nd at Franklin, Tennessee. Now, I may have misspoke. I thought there were 10 shows. You say 11. I've got 10 shows, but it's 10 plus 1.
10 per 10. Well, I'm counting we have a very special afternoon event on Thursday with Jerry Schilling and Sandy Martindale.
Let's talk. I'm going to put all these on the screen here. 10 plus 1 shows, 3 late night parties, 1 VIP event.
Yes, that's the VIP event. So that's 11.
Okay, that's 11.
Okay, yeah.
Walk through it quickly, because people don't understand. This isn't just, I want to go to one show. This weekend, this extended weekend, there's things during the daytime. You've got after parties. Kind of walk them through the whole experience.
Thursday afternoon, an intimate interview with Jerry Schilling, who was one of the Memphis Mafias from Memphis, was with Elvis for years, and Sandy Martindale, who was married to Wink Martindale. She knew Elvis, dated Elvis short time. Elvis was friends with Wink. They were, as a couple, friends with Elvis. She was in a couple of his movies dancing. Going to be an intimate interview for that, and you get a signed book from each of them and a picture with them. And then opening night on Thursday the 19th, we're doing a tribute to That's the Way It Is and Elvis on Tour. Jay Dupuis and Jimmy Holmes will be doing That's the Way It Is recreation, and a lot of this you see in the Epic movie. So that's why we're kind of opening with that. We feel really well positioned with the way they released Epic just before our festival.
They did a great job.
We want to thank Baz for the pre-promotion. But we're doing that, and then throughout the weekend, Thursday and Friday morning we have, Friday and Saturday morning we have the contest. We have 20 guys from all over the world, And we have round 1, round 2. We'll cut that to a top 10. That's going to be Saturday night. But then we have a tribute to 1956, a show with Riley Jenkins and Emilio Santoro doing a tribute. The blowout year for Elvis was 56. That's when everything
blew up.
He was still on the Louisiana Hayride, just giving that up, going to Hollywood, Making Love Me Tender, big, huge songs, Heartbreak Hotel, Don't Be Cruel. Everything happened in 56. A tribute to that. We've got a thing called the Elvis Story, which is kind of a multimedia live event that tells the story of Elvis through video and performances live on stage with Cody Daneth and Emilio. We've got a tribute to the Jungle Room. Because this year, 50 years ago this year, Elvis had his 2 sessions in the Jungle Room. And Diogo Light from Brazil will be there with Jimmy Holmes, recreating a lot of the music from the Jungle Room. And then we have our contest finals on Saturday night. Sunday morning, gospel music with the guys.
Perfect.
And we always try to have something very special during gospel, like somebody that sang with Elvis or knew Elvis, and to tell some connection. So we've had Terry Blackwood and a lot of great people like that, and we have that this year. And then Sunday afternoon, love songs. 64. No, I had to cut it down. But we have strings. We have a string session. The Nashville Elvis Festival. I call them the NEF strings. The Nashville Elvis Festival strings. Brian didn't like that. We're still workshopping the name of the strings, but live songs with strings. You know. Yeah. And then Sunday night, Bill Cherry and Cody Ray Slaughter kind of wrapping it up for us with 2 of the best in the business. And then I rest on Monday.
Listen, yeah, so that. Tom will be the host for these events. If you are able to make it, he will be running around all the place. If you want more information, it's NashvilleElvisFestival.com. You can go to their site. It's a great site, by the way, to check out the events. And I just want you guys to understand, this is not just a one-show deal. This is a rich, textured fabric that's got a little bit of everything.
Well, I would say if you're on the fence, come to an early show. Because more than likely you'll want to come back and get a ticket to another show.
99.99% of the people, in my experience over the last 20 plus years, that have done that come back again and again because they just don't understand. Once they tap into that current, they like that sliver of a shiver.
Well, you know, and I tour a lot with Cody Daneth, who's got his own production company and tours the country with the Georgia Elvis Festival, Alabama Elvis Festival. There's not a place that we've gone into first time, the host hotel or the venue, who got it immediately. They were like, we'll take your money, fine. Yeah. Okay, your little Elvis thing, that's good. Every hotel, we tell the hotel, bring in some extra bartenders. And they're like, yeah, we got it. No, I'm serious, bring them. And at 11:30, after all these shows are over and people come back to the host hotel and the bar is this deep with people, we told you. After the first year, the venue says, please come back.
We'll have more bartenders.
We'll have more bartenders. The hotel says, can you please come back? We'll get you a better room rate if you'll come back. Yeah. We were sold out. Yeah, well, we tried to tell you. These people come to party. And just as I was telling you, the guys are a brotherhood, the ETAs, the fans meet people and they become pen pals. They become friends.
100%.
And they're from all over because maybe they don't speak English. Maybe they're different ethnic cultures, but they come together because they have this one thing in common. And that's the friendships.
Hey, listen, people, if you are tired of everybody yelling at each other on Facebook and you're wondering, is there some magic nirvana place where people actually get along? Come to this show. Hey, Tom Brown, right. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you. One of my great memories of time at Graceland, hanging with you, somehow we always found ourselves up at the mansion on candlelight. Yeah. And we would be doing live shots, either streaming live shots, or sometimes they were there with cameras, and maybe you were there doing live shots. People can't understand the size of the mosquito at Graceland on candlelight night. But I also remember just hanging with you over at the old chapel, just hanging out, talking about things, watching the people coming up. It was like you had your venue across the street, you worked, and I worked this other venue, and we only really got to see each other crossing in the hall. Yeah. I never had time to go to yours. You never had time to come to mine. But we met up in these different places, and we found out the first thing we had in common was this,
Right.
the broadcasting, and then the Elvis thing was the second part.
Well, I'm telling you, those are phenomenal memories for me. I look forward to more. And this guy right here is woven into that tapestry. Tom Brown, phenomenal at what he does. Thank you for being
Thank
here.
you.
Friends, we have just recently decided to start accepting more applications if you want to be a sponsor or a partner on the show. We had not done that forever. I'm going to be pretty transparent. We just kind of decided to hold off. But if you're interested, email us. We'd love to hear from you. We got a great audience out there and growing. I think I mentioned to you guys in January, the Facebook page and the videos that are there hit over 10 million views and impressions. So we've had a phenomenal growth spurt, and you guys are a part of that. And if you'd like to join us, we'd love to hear from you and at least have a discussion. You can email us at thecurrenttemp@gmail.com. We're on Facebook, you know that. We've got our YouTube channel, and we're on Spotify as well. We're going to be expanding, I think, into Apple Podcasts very, very soon. Tom Brown, the Nashville Elvis Festival. We'd love to see you there, and thank you guys for being with us.